Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Into the Mists. This is episode 4. I am the Lethe, your host, and today we're going to be talking about the basics of commanding in World vs. World. In commanding World vs. World, there's 6 basic things you need to know. The first one up is being able to read the map. Second is communication. Third is controlling your supply. 4 is delegation. 5 is your fighting tactics, and 6 is siege. I'll go over each of one of those with you in just a moment. So, we'll go over step 1, reading the map. Alright, let's go ahead and get started. Alright, hi. So, reading the map. We're on Blackgate Borderlands right now. This is my home server. Okay, looking at it real quickly, I've got my commander down here. He is down this tower, going east. Currently we own everything up north, minus this little sentry right here. This keep is waypointed, it's blue. This camp is blue. This tower and this camp is green. And my red keep has got white swords. Alright, so judging from this map, I can tell you a couple things. They have some roamers, because there's 2 different colors in the ruins. We've got 2 of the Bloodlust nodes. I don't know if we currently have Bloodlust or not, but it's safe to say this map is currently in our control. But we still have a waypoint here, so there's always a big risk that you could get a massive force in from, I believe this is Jade Quarry at this time. And let's see. Tell you what. Yeah, Tarnished Coast is green, so this is Jade Quarry's keep. There's always a chance that they can come in through their waypoint and get straight to garrison, to be able to respond very quickly. So it's something that we need to be wary of, preferably wipe it off the map, but that's probably going to be for a future run, because there's not very many players on at this time of day. So look at the map. You've got white swords on bay. White swords only appear 30 seconds after the first NPC guard gets into combat, or the first door gets hit, or the first wall gets hit. That's 30 seconds later, those white swords appear. Orange swords are created by 25 players in combat within a certain area. Currently, there's no orange swords, so the commander Niemko is not PV Doring with 25 or more players. Looks like they're probably trying to attack this tower because there's white swords. And yeah, Jade Quarry may be attacking Bay. They may not. It could have just been somebody slapping the guards for their guard buffs. Could be. More than likely it's just roamers at the moment. But the commander's close enough he can go investigate. Other things to keep an eye out. When you're going over looking at a map, you got to look out for your Bloodlust ruins, you got to look out for your sentries, and you got to look out for your yaks. Alright, there was a red yak somewhere around here, but it just disappeared. That means there is an enemy or enemies that just killed it. Now they're probably responding to the tower. It could be a whole team, it could be not. It just depends. If you know that there's currently a map, and there's a large force on the map with you, those will be your indicators. Say if suddenly this yak disappears in the top right, and then this camp suddenly flips green, I'm going to suspect that there is a reasonable sized force heading up in this direction, especially if they disappear rather quickly, and especially if it changes color before white swords appears. That means there's probably a significant force there, and it's probably worth responding to. A basic commander that's just getting started for the first time, you really need to have to look out for these small details, because they can tell you a lot about what's coming. It could be just one person doing it, or it could be a team of 5, or it could be a team of 50. So you have to be able to try and guess ahead of time based on what you know about the enemy players. The commander, he is probably destroying some catapults down here in the bottom corner, because generally that's where the catapults are going to be at. So he's probably wiping out a small crew that is trying to take Bay. Let's see, sentry is going attacking the yak. Nothing else is really happening in the Bloodlust ruins. The sentry now belongs to Jade Quarry, so you might have that activity happening. On the other maps, you can't entirely see what's got white swords or not because you're not currently in the map, but you can at least have a guess that Jade Quarry's got a strong position with 2 waypoints in their home borderland, 1 waypoint on mine, and another in Tarnished Coast Borderlands. And also, each world has their own waypoint in Eternal Battlegrounds. When you get into the lower activity times, you usually will find a float team that will go from one server or one borderland to the next, depending on what's happening. either offensively or defensively. So be prepared for that. But when it comes to maps, it's just very useful to be able to read what's happening and what do you need to do. If you know that your bay and your garrison don't have waypoints and you want to get it there, you got to make sure you control the supply camps, flowing supply into them, and you also want to try and deprive them of theirs. So you can start to form a general strategy for what your objectives will be. Like this map is almost entirely black gates, but if you want to be able to start doing some damage to garrison, you've got a couple options. You can either try and golem rush it to take it all at once, which would be great, but you have to catch them when they're sleeping. Otherwise, you're going to have to start setting up some siege all around and slowly drain them of supply until they have nothing left to defend with, and then just overwhelm them with numbers. That's a very difficult and long process. That can easily take you hours. But it's important to get started somewhere. So, beginning with siege, beginning with supply. You got to start somewhere. If you don't have any of these towers, go ahead and take them. But you're going to need to get your supply first, and you want to make sure that they can't get at your stuff. So, that brings me up to the next couple of rules. Rule number 2, communication. If you're the commander, you need to have some way of effectively communicating with your team. Step 1, get into TeamSpeak, Ventrilo, Mumble, whatever it is that you can use for your world to communicate better between your players, your guild, and preferably the other pugs out there, the other guilds especially. Use that. When you're commanding, though, make sure that you already know that you are in charge. You don't want anybody else to talk over you. You don't want to be timid about what you're saying. You are the authority. You want people to listen to you. You also want people to not try and talk over you. If you have a talkative bunch that's talking about random stuff that doesn't matter, go ahead and tell them to hush up and get out of the channel if they need to, or just keep it in party chat, because you don't need that overpowering what you have to say. TeamSpeak also has another feature called Priority Speaker. You can use that, and it'll actually drown out anybody else's communications, and it'll put yours loud and clear. Let's see. Another thing about being a commander is you have to keep talking. You want to tell your group where you're going, what you're doing. You want to do it in TeamSpeak, and if you're in like Edge of the Mists, you want to do it in Say Chat, just so that people can read it and see it. You really need to be able to tell people, keep updating them on what you're doing. If you decide to turn around, if there's a big Zergan coming, you can just do a U-turn, but better make sure you're telling them what they're doing. If you're going to be sitting in place for a while, tell people that you're waiting for whatever reason. Otherwise, bugs will wander off on you. Effective crews and teams don't necessarily have to talk all the time, but that's because they've disciplined themselves for it. But if you're a new commander just getting started, when people don't really know your name, take the time to communicate. Especially, I mean, if it's something that requires typing, tell somebody else to type out what you're saying. Which brings me to my next rule, delegation. You really want to keep what you're doing to a minimum. You don't want to have to deal with typing out, getting to TeamSpeak. You don't want to deal with advertising for your guild, and you have small tasks that can be delegated to somebody else. Say this commander is attacking this tower right here. I know we have it, but imagine we're attacking it. This camp is also green, so he could send off a couple guys that don't have supply, or just 5 volunteers in general, to go back, take the camp, and bring the supply to the tower so you can have some additional supply for the tower. Delegate. Send a couple people off, get a couple X's in map chat, and continue on your way. Or if you need a scout, delegate a scout duty at wherever you need them to be. So make sure that you are delegating responsibilities. You need people to do the tasks that you shouldn't be doing yourself. Manning siege, commanders shouldn't be doing that. If you have no choice, you have no choice, but you want to delegate as many things as you possibly can. It really will make a difference for you and your team. Let's see. After delegation, there is the next rule we're going to look over is controlling your supply. Controlling your supply is a pretty important topic. Basically, you want to be able to make sure that A, you have enough supply for what you're trying to achieve, say as either building up siege or attacking a tower, and you also need to make sure you control your enemy's siege. So as I was saying earlier, the axe feed the king, feed the keeps. The axe give the supply. If you can control the supply camps for the majority of the time and slap any axe that are getting in, then you can eventually starve them out. You control the supply, you control the battle. If you prevent them from getting any supply from any location, then you can effectively stop them from being able to attack because they don't have any supply in the first place. It's very difficult when they have a waypointed keep. Usually they have a crap ton of supply in there, and they have the ability to take supply out of it. But if you're effectively shutting down the camps and taking out the axe, they're not going to want to do that for long because they're not going to get any more in. So control the supply, control the battle. And if you don't have any supply, or if you don't know how much supply you have, take the time to find out. So let me introduce you to a feature called /supply info. So I'm going to type in the bottom, I'm going to type /supply info, all one word. This command is only available to commanders, so I guess I got to go to put on my commander tag. Now I will go do /supply info. And it tells me the Lethe Guardian is carrying 13 supply. 13 supply among 1 players. Alright, supply info will give you the supply information for those that are for you and those that are in your squad and anybody within basically slapping distance. If you can reach out and slap them, you can actually get some supply, and you'll be able to tell what supply I have. Let's go with Android 60. Okay, supply info. Let's see it. Now I'm just a pace away. Did he just join my squad? Okay, now he's farther away. I can't get his supply info. If you can reach out and slap him, you can get the amount of supply that you need to have. If you don't have enough supply, that command will tell you ahead of time what you need. There isn't very many other commands available to commanders. I'll show you some of them. If you, I think I put my tag back up. If you're a commander, you have the ability to hold Alt and click somewhere, and you have these new options of waypoints: squad attack order, squad defend order, squad rally order. Nobody ever uses them. You're welcome to try it, but it's unusual to have that unless you have a special attack squad you want to go to a specific location. It's just an odd spot where you want to show them where they want to place their siege. Things like that can help you when you're trying to get your message across. But in general, it's not used very often, but that is how you use it. Let's see. Alright, after controlling your supply traps come in handy. One extra note about delegation: you can delegate somebody to watch the timers. There are certain programs out there that'll keep a timer for all the towers, all the keeps. This way you know ahead of time if there's going to be a buff at that location before you get there. It's well worth taking the time to get somebody to use that program in the background so that you can keep a mental check of when the timers are and whether or not the camp will be buffed up before you get there or not. Let's see, after that, after controlling your supply, delegation, communication, and reading the map, the 5th thing for you to know is battleground tactics. So there's certain things that really will pay off when it comes to being a basic commander. Say I've got myself a Zerg. They're running with me, I'm running, and imagine this is like any kind of open territory. I'm going to just hurry up and run over here real quick. So this archway. Imagine this archway, there's only one of them. Only one archway. These other two do not exist. This here is a choke point. It's really just a narrowing of the path. There's only so many ways they can get in, and it's only about 6 feet. It's much more easier to see this representation at a bridge. So let me see. No, I can't get down to that one. But anyway, I'll just run over down to a tower and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Choke points are key to being able to win a fight when you're outnumbered. And it's even a key to win a fight whenever you are even numbers. When you hold a choke point, you hold a positional advantage where you're forcing the enemy to get sucked into one spot where you can just AoE them down, cleave them down. And there's a couple things you can do to help make that more effective. Now, one of them is by having your heavies standing in front. Basically, if you have your heavy crew all up in front, you have your casters in the back. If you have enough control, enough immobilizes, and enough damage, you can down them all right in one spot. So let me get over here. We'll get to the tower and I'll show you one example of a good choke point. The gate is a good choke point just because it's a narrowing of the door, but another great choke point is a staircase. Staircases are awesome for this, and they're great for destroying an enemy team, especially if they're larger than you. So with a staircase, say I am 8 heavies. I am 8 heavy guardians and warriors and stuff. We're all just going to stack here right at the top of the staircase. The enemy's pouring in. You're going to start throwing down your lines of warding. You're going to put down any static fields you've got, any earth fields, and you're also going to need a lot of soft CCs. Those are immobilizes, those are cripples, those are chill. So put down my ring of warding, and they're coming up, and I use my immobilize. It goes through a bunch of people. They get stuck in spot, and you need as many people stuck in this spot as long as possible. You need your meat shield to keep them stuck at this spot. You need anything that'll keep them immobilized for as long as possible. Preferably you'd have an arrow card over here, an arrow card over there, and as many of your casters just pouring all damage on this one spot. And the thing is, you don't have to have a small choke like this either. You can have a much larger one. For example, say this wall gets destroyed. They use catapults to take down the wall. Now there's only one way up. It's this ramp here. It's much larger than that staircase, but still, it can be done. All you have to do is you can have your heavies stationed here, you can have them stationed here. It's your preference, really. But you got to be able to use your soft CCs and your hard CCs at the same time. Well, the ring of warding is great at stopping a lot of people. It won't stop people if they have stability. So if they use stand your ground, they'll get stability. They can just walk right through it, no problems. That's why your soft CCs are vital. If you can get some immobilizes, cripples, and chills ahead of time when they get to the spot, then they'll be stuck here for a period of time. And your heavies can just face maul them, and they won't be able to get to your casters. Your casters will be back here, they'll be off to the side, they'll be up on the supply depot, and just raining down hell upon them. So it's a crucible. If they can get through to your casters, though, they'll break through your defenses. Their first objective would more than likely be to get either straight to your casters or to your arrow carts if you have any up. They got to destroy your siege because it's very deadly. But that's your basic battlefield tactics for holding a choke point. Open field fights are a bit different. Essentially, your open field fights, you'll have to try and break them apart. The key to winning an open field fight really is trying to separate your enemy and then take them out a couple at a time. So let's go out here in the open battlefield. I really wish I had a full Zerg fight going on right now to show you, but you'll have to bear with me here. Let's see. These snow leopards are pretty far apart, and you could easily take out one without getting any damage from the other, even if they're both casters. Now, let's go over here. Let's say they're all bunched up nice and tight. These are guardians and warriors. They're sharing buffs. I can't do a whole lot of damage to them because they're sharing to each other's buffs. They're doing a lot more damage to me, and that's the big difference when you can spread them out. So open field tactics, you want to kind of either kite them around if you're a ranged group, or if you are a melee trained group, you want to be able to spread them apart, push through them, break them apart, then start eating up the bits. Start downing the bits, onesies and twosies, and you'll start to just start mauling over the whole group because now they're A, spread out, and B, people are going down. It gets demoralized and they start to get afraid that they're going to lose when they start losing numbers. So that's your basics to an open field fight. The other thing is you got to make sure that you are still stacked tightly. If you've got a commander, stay close to him. If you're the commander, you want to make sure that you have all your guys close to you as possible. There are exceptions with certain casters, but it's great to keep them close too. Now, there's a couple things that will really help you win some open field fights. So, use your combo fields. Imagine this is a water field. Do that. You give yourself an AoE healing. Do your blast finishers. If you look at your weapon skills, it says combo finisher blast. Blast finishers on a fire field gives you might, 3 stacks of might for 20 seconds for 5 people. If you do it on water, you heal for anywhere from just over 1,000 upwards of 2,000 if you got a lot of healing power. So if you can get a water field out from your elementalist, and if they tell you that they're using water, you can have everybody blasted because they're casting it on the commander himself. So you want everybody near the commander so you can get that healing, or you can want everybody on the commander to get that might from the fire, because it's not exactly a large area that it's going to be affecting. So you got to make sure you do that. You got to keep people tight for that very reason. And if they get spread out, they can be picked off one at a time. You won't be able to share your boons with each other. You won't be able to keep each other alive. So you have to stay tight, and you have to really drill into your team to do that. You have to be disciplined, which is very difficult for pugs, but if you can get a good group that actually recognizes you and are willing to do what you want, it can happen. I have seen pug groups that have wiped guild groups because the pugs did what they were supposed to. It works out fine sometimes, it works out terrible some other times. But don't let a setback, don't let a defeat stop you from commanding. If this is your first time or one of your first times, you're going to have to just buck up and deal with the difficulties that come with it. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. But you got to keep going. You got to keep trying. The thing about it being a commander is there's no really bad choice except for doing nothing. If you decide to go charging straight in, maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. But it's far better than just sitting there waiting for them to run you over. I've seen commanders that have tried it for the first time and froze because they didn't know what to do. Well, if you don't know what to do, make something up. It's okay. You'll learn. Eventually you'll be able to tell when is the right time to stack up and get your might ahead of time, or when it's time to just go pour straight into them. That brings me to a couple of other things that you can do. Ah, crap, I'm getting tired. Let's see. I'm gonna get you guys a fight just for interest's sake.
Attack my target.
Nah, maybe not. Alright. Sorry if I'm getting a little bit distracted, but I'm gonna give you guys something to look at. Wish me luck.
Stand your ground. I feel furious. Stand your ground.
Oh, sorry. Really want to win this fight. Ah! That frickin' warrior just killed himself. Oh, that was great. Okay. Oh, that was beautiful. Okay, let's see. They've got some on me. That's cool and all. Oh, you're getting away. Okay, so. Alright, so. All kinds of distractions. So, sorry about that. Back to what we were trying to talk about. Alright, battlefield tactics. So, they got scattered. That warrior fell off a cliff. That was funny. Anyway, but what we were trying to do. Steve really just wants some. Alright, so battlefield tactics, getting them split up, pushing through versus range. If you've got a range heavy group, try and just keep kiting them. If you've got a melee heavy group, then try and just stick together and plow right through. It really will help you out a lot. Just trying to stay together in general. So, yeah. This guy really wants some. Alright, let's see. Important skills for you to know about as a commander. It's important for you to be able to get out certain commands at a good time. For example, oh, this Steve really just got himself screwed over.
Stand your ground.
Oh, he's actually damaging a little bit. A little bit. Anyway, so back to where we're at. Important skills. Veil. Mesmer skill puts a little line on the ground. Everybody gets to go invisible when they walk through that. Very important for being able to get the surprise on your enemy. It's extremely useful and really will pay off over time in combat. Let's see. Mass invisibility. Say if we're running by this tower, all of a sudden an enemy jumps up off the tower right on top of us. Mass invisibility will save your life because they no longer have an identifiable target. Just don't attack, shout out mass invisibility, and then break off, regroup, get ready to fight. Because that's the only thing that's going to save you from a wipe if you were not expecting it. Let's see. Wards. These are your wards. Line of warding. Okay, static fields, elementalist static fields, big circle electricity, stuns everybody for about a second and a half. Null fields. Null fields are great in choke points because you will give a great deal of boon removal and condition removal. It strips off the boons from all of them, from your enemies when they walk through it, and it'll also remove all the conditions from your allies. Very important skill. Got a reasonable cooldown, so make sure that you put it down right when they really are coming through. If they stop short and you blow it too soon, that sucks. But usually they don't stop short. It's well worth trying to plan ahead though. Let's see. Wells, necromancer wells. Usually power necros will throw down a well in a spot, cause a lot of conditions and a lot of damage, especially when they throw all 3 wells in the same spot. It can really just wreck a team, especially if you're holding them in a tight choke point like this. Elementalist meteor showers on top of choke points like this are beautiful too. Let's see. Blinds, you can have certain classes just spam out mass blinds. Spectral wall, it's a necromancer skill, and if you walk through it, you get protection if you're on the same team. If it's an enemy, you will cause fear in them. They'll fear away from the spectral wall, or away from the necromancer rather. Let's see. Other important skills: stability, protection. Blasts on your water fields, blasts on your fire fields. Make sure your elementalists are calling those out. It's very important. Those are some of the basics for your battlefield tactics. There are some more advanced tactics out there, but we'll cover those in another video. So any commanders out there that are watching this, any other guild leaders, go ahead and take some time and post your comments. I really want to know what you want to see in your advanced tactics. So for that'll be for the next podcast. Alright, last topic to cover: siege. What to carry. Let me open up my menu here real quick. Carry around superior siege. Omega golems, trebuchets, catapults, ballistas, arrow cards, rams. Make sure you carry plenty of them. And if you can, always use superior, but if you're running short on supply, go ahead and use a basic one if you're not sure if you can actually get it built or not. Another important one is like guild catapults. These are the equivalent of superior catapults, but they cost 25 supply. A superior catapult costs you 60. So you have to spend more than double to get a superior catapult, but you spend less than half of it to get a guild catapult. I gotta warn you though, the price tag is pretty dicey. It's over a gold a piece. But if you got the influence to burn and you've got the gold to spare, get yourself some guild catas. They really help a lot. Primarily when you're trying to break into something, get yourself either a couple rams on the gate or a couple catapults on the wall, because you're gonna need to get through it quickly. Even if there's no force on the map, they may come in and try and bum rush you, stop any warriors from getting inside. But basically with your siege, make sure you carry enough and make sure you're using it for the appropriate role. If you are trying to take out a tower like this, it's fully reinforced, tier 3, everything's fully upgraded, and they've got a door treb, and you don't have time to get yourself through the walls, get yourself an arrow cart. If you've got it right on the other side of the gate, it can aim inside and take out the trebuchet. Otherwise, if they've got trebs all over, say up on the supply depot, you can actually go underneath on the backside here, set up an arrow cart right about here, or even back even farther, and you can aim roughly right under the supply depot or on top of the supply depot. Generally, arrow carts aren't necessarily the best for offense, but if you get the right situation, you can. So try and take advantage of the opportunity when it comes back. Uh-oh, looks like the guild is back. Nah, a couple more of them too, huh? How about that? Okay, so where to place your siege, that'll have to come out in another video, but it's well worth taking the time to ask guildies or ask map chat or watch some other videos out there that show you where great siege placements are. I don't know if I'll actually get around to that, but I'll try it in another video. But that was the 6th and final important thing for you to know about and remember. So to read again, priority number 1, reading the map. You really got to be able to tell what's going on, what forces are where. And as you can tell from the change in the colors, the oh my, more swords in garrison. They're bum rushing us more likely at the southwest gate. So, bad situation. Next thing. Yeah. Number 1, reading the map. Number 2, communication. Number 3, controlling your supply and their supply. Number 4, delegation of tasks. 5, your battlefield tactics. And 6, your siege. If you want, I'll cover them some more in some other videos. Please give me your comments. What you want to see in future podcasts. What you want to see in general for the advanced tactics, and any comments and feedbacks on the podcasts and their productions. Anyway, this is Lethe for Intothemists.com. This is the end of podcast number 4, Beginner's Guide to Commanding. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the mists.